Spirits up.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are tuned in to the third edition of My Mind Matters, brought to you by Spearitwurx in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month. We're happy to begin this session. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to get started shortly. There's a few folks that I'm just going to allow to get themselves situated as they're logging on. And while we are waiting, I'm going to let y'all enjoy one more round of music from Spirit of the Nation. So enjoy that part, and we will get started shortly. If you want to grab a pen or a journal, something to write with, and some water to nourish yourself as we end this session, please do. And we will see you shortly. We'll get started real soon.
Spears up, do your warrior dance, do your warrior dance, do your warrior dance. Spears up, do your warrior dance, do your warrior dance, do your warrior dance. Spears up. Yo, live from Oakland, California. I do my warrior dance with my fresh kingly persona. I keep my grass lower, brother Lyria. Them cobras touching shoulders with my soldiers. Liberation be the focus. Zulus deep all in these streets, they gumbo dancing on you jokers. Got my Kosa brothers with me, Slick Angel and MX. Aristotle told me, yo, on this you gotta switch the flow up. All your warrior dance on point, no more talking, it's time to show us. Liar, Bengi, chant fire. Twist the Kaya, get lighter. Nothing funny, Rich Pryor. Lift your fist a bit higher. Yo, militant penmanship isn't the intent to kill off the venomous ignorant village to township a tenement. Filament in it, you're feeling it, get it and get it. Do your warrior dance, do your warrior dance, do your warrior dance. Spears up, do your warrior dance, do your Spears up, do your warrior dance, do your warrior dance, do your warrior dance. Spears up, do your warrior dance, do your warrior dance, do your warrior dance. Spears up. From Nairobi to Maseru, yo, my warrior dance be popping. Got these devils moving, careful sisters, warrior dancing too. Ain't too concerned about they hairdo when they got get to shaking. There ain't nothing to prepare you. Hella fire, Babylon is burning, brother. Trying to tell you revolution televised. I hope your freedom does not scare you. Uniform be mud down future. Ain't no time to time to unify the tribe until these suckers finally hear us. Now you Bengi, chant fire. Twist the Kaya, get lighter. Nothing funny, Rich Pryor. Lift your fist a bit higher. Yo, way woke, never stay close. Gotta stay away from the fake folk. Always trying to stay broke. Cape Town to Decay Coast. No, we ain't leaving till we get it, man. Freedom we came from. Do your warrior dance. Do your warrior dance. Do your warrior dance. Spears up. Do your warrior dance. Do your warrior dance. Do your warrior dance. Spears up.
All right, we in it, we in it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our third of four sessions, that we are excited to bring with you. This is My Mind Matters in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month. We are Spearitwurx. We are excited to bring this offering to us and to this community and to all the folks that we can reach far and wide. Every time we've done it, it's getting bigger and bigger, and we're just thankful for our folks tuning in right now. So we appreciate the time. Yeah. My name is Suzanne. I am the co-creator of Spearitwurx. I'm joined with my husband, Sway.
Yeah, brother Sway, co-creator, father, friend, community member, son. You know what I mean? All of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Giving thanks for the opportunity. I see a lot of familiar faces, also unfamiliar faces, and it's like Mizan was sharing, it's beautiful. So let's get into it. Definitely hoping that y'all definitely get something out of today's session, which kind of brings me to the chat. Maybe just from my own curiosity, anything that you might want to get out of today's session.
That's our check-in question.
Oh, I'm moving too fast.
Moving too fast.
Moving too fast.
It's all good.
All right.
So we gonna get into that for sure. But we just wanted to do a quick little Zoom housekeeping for folks who may or may not be familiar with this platform. There's a couple of ways to participate. You can do the chat feature, which is down on the bottom, and you just click on the chat, and you can either send messages directly to us or to all the attendees that are here. The things that we want to share or information we want to share, you can welcome to do it there. There's also opportunity if you click on the participants little icon down on the bottom of your screen as well. It will bring you the participant list, and you can raise your hand or tell us to go faster or go slower, or answer yes or no questions in that way. We probably won't do the yes or no questions in that way, but just know that that's also an option there. And then the other piece, depending on how big we get today, we will potentially do breakout rooms. And so we will pre-assign you to a breakout room. You'll see this little pop up on your screen that says the host is inviting you to join a breakout room, and just click join. When it's time for us to close down those sessions, you'll see the countdown. It's really unforgiving if you're in the middle of a sentence. So if the time ends, it will just pop you right back into the main room. So please be mindful of the time so you can finish your thought before the time ends. Sorry, it's a little convoluted that way, but it's technology, it's not human, so we're trying to make it as human as possible. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that this meeting is going to be recorded and eventually will be posted on our YouTube channel and potentially on Facebook as well. One of the things that we really want to encourage folks to do is to put your videos on. So we at Spearitwurx, we are generally really good at facilitating sessions in building that human-to-human contact. And so when we are now on this crazy reality that we have, that we are all on our machines at these times, we definitely want to try to connect us as best we can, eye to eye, heart to heart, mind to mind, spirit to spirit. And so it's easiest on this technology to be able to do that face to face as much as we can. So if you are open and available, and we would encourage you to put your videos on. And then also on that same line, when there's a collective conversation happening, if you could just mute yourselves so that any background noise doesn't become distracting for other folks too. Right? Sound good, everybody? There's some thumbs up as a way to do it. Some head nods I see. That'll work. Thank y'all for joining us. Yes, yes. All right, so really quick, as we get started with this process, we just wanted to share a little bit about who we are. You want to take this? I got it. All right. So we are Spearitwurx. We are based in Oakland, California. We were founded in 2004 and gone through many different phases of who we are as an organization. But right now in this phase and over the last couple of years, we've been really clear that our work is to inspire intergenerational wellness and bring about racial healing. And so we create experiences to transform lives, and those can be cultural events. We've done the Experience Sankofa Project Living Museum, other community convenings, the Powerful Parent Conference, the Be Well Brother Conference, the Stretch Marks annual convening of mothers and daughters to have conversations about life, love, and liberation. We also do consulting for nonprofits, for schools, for agencies, for even government agencies as well. And we do wellness coaching and support wellness life and healthy living as best we can, particularly for Black and Brown families as best we can. So our work is creative, we are courageous, and definitely inspired by love. Just so you get a sense about our world, we have 5 amazing children, ranging in age from 8 to 22. And during this COVID time, you can imagine what that's like with a house full. So we are definitely feeling all of the things to be able to feel during this time. So we're thankful for that. Thank you all for joining us too. So what we want to get us started with is a roll call. Now you can take that part.
Right. So like you say, you know, who are you? Where are you calling from? And, you know, what's inspiring you today? What are you trying to get out of this today?
So to make this easier, I think I'll just call on folks so that we can go through. Today we have, I believe there's 31 participants on the line. So you have about 30 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds to answer this question as fast as you can, just so that we can get into it. But we definitely want to know where folks are coming from. And so, yeah, so let's get it started. So if you hear us call on your name or call out your phone number, please be ready to answer the question of who are you, your name, where you were calling from, and what's one thing that's inspiring you these days or that you want to get out of this session. I'm going to start actually with our guest presenter today, Brother Jason. I'm going to let you start. You got to unmute yourself, brother. And here, I got you.
I wasn't ready. Ready.
Yes, get ready. It's roll call. It's happening.
I'm Jason Seals, father, community member, son. I'm a servant to my community. I'm calling from San Leandro. What's one thing that's inspiring me these days? My son's love. That's inspiring me right now. My son's love.
That's what's up. Nice. Thank you. All right, let's go to Jacqueline Cruz. Would you share we just said your name, but if there's more to it that you want to share about who you are and where you're calling from, and one thing that's inspiring you, or one thing you want to get out of this session today.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Cruz, as you mentioned. I am a mother, I am a community member, and I'm calling from Pittsburgh. And one thing that is inspiring me these days is the support that we are receiving in the community.
Thank you, sis. Thank you. And next we'll go with Selena Wilson.
Hi, I'm Selena Wilson. I am calling from East Oakland, originally from deep East Oakland. And the thing that is inspiring me these days and really always is just being a part of my village and helping to kind of pay forward what my elders gave to me with the young people that I work with.
Nice. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, let's hear from, Brother Jordan. I'm going to unmute you. Think that'll work.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Yes, sir.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go
My
ahead.
name is Jordan Monroe from Oakland. I'm a small business owner, and I also participate in fatherhood facilitating workshops, and I like to just expand my network and build with people within my community. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Jordan. And how about Angela Brown?
Good morning to everyone. I am a community member, and I'm calling from San Leandro. And what's inspiring me these days is my faith.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you. Alejandra.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alejandra Thompson, and I'm calling from Brentwood, originally from Oakland. And what's inspiring me these days is family, near and far, being able to connect with them with technology. Not being with them is difficult, but definitely they continue to inspire me.
Nice. Thank you. And let's hear from Brother Otis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Otis Ward. I'm calling from Oakland. I work for a couple of organizations that bring community services here in the Bay Area. My drive is to just really bring back life to our communities, my African history, my heritage, and to support the community any way possible. And a love for the family and the village.
Yes, yes, thank you. Let's see. Hopefully I not lose my place. Nichelle, is that how you pronounce it?
Okay. Hi, I didn't unmute myself. Greetings. So my name is Nichelle. I am a medical social worker for dialysis patients here at DaVita. And so what inspires me is supporting the brown and Black people that are on dialysis with mental health support. Mental health is my passion, and just really working with brown and Black folks that are underdeserved and represented being on dialysis. And so thank you for having this, and thank you for the invite.
Thank you, Nichelle. Thank you.
Oh, I forgot. I live in Berkeley.
In Berkeley, perfect. Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you. How about Janine Greer?
Hi, everybody. Greetings and salutations. And I'm calling from the Big O, Oakland, who I love, Oakland, and community member, mom. And I'm inspired by watching my brother, IT professional, be a homeschool teacher and having an African-centered curricula. Like, I'm watching him rock that, and I'm feeling inspired by him. And I'm inspired by this. I just got Instagram and learned about this. Like, I just got Instagram last week, so I feel so excited. Hi, Brother Jason.
Nice, thank you. Let's see, Antoinette Harris.
Hi, my name is Antoinette. Sorry, I'm multitasking, so I don't have my video on. But I'm from Oakland. I'm a social worker with a nonprofit that provides mental health services and foster care services. What's inspiring me right now is how our community, even though it may not seem like it to some, our community really is pulling together to meet basic needs on the ground level. I'm inspired by the community of providers and folks who are on the ground just really trying to do our very best to meet the needs of children, and in particular our seniors. So I appreciate this, this forum.
Thank you, sis, thank you. How about, did we do Angela Brown already?
Yes, we did.
You did. You know what? I did this the wrong way. I should have looked at the participant list instead of my video list and going down. So forgive me if we go back over things. So thank you, Angela, for checking in. Let's do this. Maybe Charmaine Martin, would you check in? Where are you calling from? And what's one thing that's inspiring you these days, or one thing you want to get out of this call?
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Charmaine Martin. I'm actually calling from Union City. I work with the Union City Family Center and our school district, New Haven Unified School District, and I connect students and families with, right now, urgent resources. So I am inspired by just working with a great, amazing team and continuing to do all we can to support our families here in the district and the community, and our students, more importantly, with the resources that they need. And I appreciate the invite to this forum.
Perfect, thank you, thank you, thank you. How about Felipe?
Good morning.
You did Carmen already?
Felipe Khan. I work for the Felton Institute, the Department of Teenage Pregnancy. We work with the students from the age of 18 to 24, providing different services. My exact department is the post-secondary and GED department, so I help students who are who doesn't get a high school diploma, and in the ones that get the school diploma, I help them to continue with their post-secondary education. My inspiration is, or I am inspired by the communities of color that despite being under these forces oppression, the people keep start fighting and keep start joining, and we don't give up. I am Mayan from Guatemala. I joined forces with some Mayan organizations here in the Bay. And also, I am aware of that all the brothers and sisters of color, anybody, African Americans, Native Americans, we are under the same forces of oppression. And these organizations are my inspiration, and see how we keep fighting the forces of oppression. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
right on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. How about Janine Greer? Did we do you already?
I did already.
You did. Sorry, y'all. I'm getting it. I got you. Let's go with Jazz. What's up, Jazz? Ready to check in?
Peace, how y'all doing? My name is Jazz Hudson. I'm calling from Oakland. I'm an educator, artist, and a small business owner. And what's inspiring me these days is prayer and nature.
You feel me?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Thank you. All right, let's do Jorge Lopez.
Hi, hello everybody. I'm Jorge Lopez. I'm a parent advocate with a nonprofit organization. We help families reunite when they are separated for whatever circumstances. And what inspires me is the agency that I work for inspires me a lot. Through all this that's going on in the world right now, we still manage to work together and to support the families as much as we can, and we're pulling through all this. So yeah.
Yes, indeed we are. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. How about Kristen Pannell? Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, ma'am. Kirsten Pannell. Peace and blessings, everyone. I am in Los Angeles, California. I am a small business owner where I dedicate a lot of my time to the Black community, just uplifting, empowering, and gapping the bridge, whether it be mental wellness, spiritual wellness, anything to that sort. That's what I do.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. How about Kay Scott? Or KSKCOT? All right, we can come back to you. How about LaRonda Sullivan?
Hello. Hi, my name is LaRonda. I am a health navigator at Roots Community Health Center in East Oakland. I'm calling from West Oakland. I'm calling from West Oakland because that's where I live. I'm working from home. And what inspired me today is my clients. I mean, I'm working hard with them to, you know, try to get them stable and where they feel they need to be during this COVID-19 time. So that is it for me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And I'm glad that Roots is on the line. They're definitely one of the resources that we share at the end with folks in terms of where to go for additional support for folks. So definitely thankful that you are here joining us. Let's hear from Lisa.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Taylor. I'm from the city of Oakland. I work at the city of Oakland as the Family and Community Engagement Coordinator. And what inspires me is just being healthy, God, my family. So I'm just thankful for a lot of things these days.
Oops, sorry. Indeed, thank you very much. How about, did we hear from Lucy yet?
Hi everyone, my name is Lucy Harrison. I work for the Unity Council as the education manager for the Head Start grantee in Concord. I'm calling from Martinez. What inspires me, it's actually you guys. I think I wasn't very conscious or aware that there's a large amount of people who really cares for others, and it is very easy to kind of go to the negative or to focus on the people who are haters, who are putting people down. But these times and this kind of networks have light up for me the amount of good people doing awesome things out there, lifting each other, and that's it for me. I've been around you guys. It's kind of what keeps me going, and I feel like it doesn't matter the other the other stuff if you stay focused on the things that really inspire you and keep you going. You can do it. Everybody can.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are definitely inspired as well by the collective work of goodness that is happening. So we feel you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us as well. All right, Sister NiQueen, are you there? Are you ready?
Think so. Can you hear me?
All right, we see you and hear you. Lovely.
Ah.
Right.
My name is McQueen. I'm calling from Oakland. I'm a mom, a sister of Auntie. I am inspired by all the creativity that has been going on. It's been like amazing in the last couple months how, you know, Questlove's been DJing to me every night, personally, just kidding. And, you know, just seeing what all the dope dialogue that's going on. It's all been really, really beautiful. And I'm inspired by that song that played. I'm gonna need that song. I keep saying it. I'm gonna need that song. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Yes, yes. Thank you, NiQueen. Thank you. Let's see. Did we hear from Noni yet? Noni Galloway.
Hi, no, thank you. My name is Noni. I am coming from Oakland. I am a parent advocate for Parent Voices of Oakland. So I came in here because I am inspired by the work that I'm doing at Parent Voices of Oakland to uplift all of the struggles and all of the triumphs that we as Black and Brown families are going through at this time. I'm also going to piggyback off of what Jason said, and the love of my son is also inspiring me. But I'm just here just to just be a parent advocate during this time and making sure that I'm uplifting organizations like yours that are providing these resources to us. So I'm here for that, and I do appreciate this, this opportunity to have this space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Noni. We appreciate that. Thanks. How about S. Reynolds? Are you there? S. Reynolds?
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, thank you. My name is Stephanie, and I have been in Long Beach and Rancho Cucamonga, but I am now in Alabama, so I hope I'm not going to be kicked off. Let me see, I am, inspired by the movement I see just towards, I guess, the growth and wisdom that I see being put out there for everyone to be exposed to, and a movement towards true health and wellness, recognizing traumas, recognizing that things are, that not everything that we are being subjected to is of and by us. A lot of things are external related, and there seems to be more of a focus on recognizing that and focusing on like the whole person, being whole. Like you can't be healthy and well with when you're lacking a lot of things. So just the movement towards recognizing all the facets of life that impact a person's mental and physical health. And just finding all kinds of webinars that are addressing that and helping to educate me and others.
Yes, thank you. And you're completely welcome coming from Alabama. We have folks last week from Chicago, folks from Detroit. So as far and wide as we can be, please join the conversation. You're in the right place. Thank you. Yeah. All right, let's hear from Sandra Hunter. Where are you calling from? What's one thing that's inspiring you or one thing you want to get out of this call today? Sandra Hunter, you ready? And that's all right. We know folks be multitasking. So let's hear from Selena De Leon. If I said that correctly. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We sure can. Welcome.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So my name's Selena, and I'm calling from San Francisco. And I am inspired by doing performance arts and helping others heal or inspiring others to do their own art through performing.
Nice, perfect, thank you.
Hi, it's Sandra. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
hi, Sandra. Yes, welcome. Good, thank you.
Computer did something weird when I went to unmute. But in any case, I'm Sandra Hunter again, and I'm calling from Oakland by way of Berkeley Public Health Black Infant Health Program. What inspires me is just throughout the trauma that our people have gone through, the resiliency still exists. So just seeing us keeping it pushing, keeping it moving, that's very inspiring to me.
Yes, indeed, it sure is. Thank you. All righty, going down our list. We're almost there, y'all. It's really beautiful to hear that so many folks are in this space. And really, that's why we're taking a little bit of time to make sure that everybody knows who's here, because this is part of the healing. There was a sister friend of mine in this call we had the other day saying we are each other's medicine. And so really just being able to connect with each other is good for us to know who's here and who's on the line. So I appreciate y'all working through us taking this time to do this before we get started with our content, because we are the medicine, y'all. So thank y'all for going through this process with us. Thank you, thank you. Let's hear from Stephen Burns and then Suzanne James.
Hello, my name is Stephen. I'm calling from Hercules. And what's inspiring to me is listening to everyone's story, as well as my kids.
Thank you. And Suzanne? Suzanne James, you ready to check in? All right, how about Veronica Yancey? And did we hear from Tina Riley? I think we did. Let me check my list.
Oh, hello. Sorry about that. Am I on?
You are on. Yes, Suzanne.
Oh,
go ahead.
I'm not tech savvy, so okay. So I'm in San Francisco. I'm a native, and I'm working for the Rams down at 1380 Howard, the Behavioral Health Access Program and Treatment Access, and I'm a peer navigator. So let's see, I guess what inspires me is it's just knowledge, you know, and you know, healing and seeing others heal. I'm trying to heal right now from lots of trauma and from my addictions, and so I'd like to, you know, hear everybody else's story and then become more educated on, you know, situations that you struggle with, and so that I can, you know, have a deeper understanding to pass on. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Tamara Jenkins.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Where are you calling from, sis?
I'm calling from Oakland, and I just saw this on Instagram yesterday. So I guess we're sharing what inspires us. Is that what we're sharing right now?
Yeah, yes, we are. Yep.
Okay. Well, I have 4 kids. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 6-month-old, and I want to be able to offer them, I guess, a more experience about their culture, and to just learn how to put that into our everyday living so that they have something to have pride and joy about.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I like big families too. I'm not sure if you caught the beginning, but we have 5 children as well. So we're
Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. We heard from Selena, Stephen, Suzanne, Tina Riley. Let's see. Veronica, did we hear from you yet? Veronica Yancey?
Nope, that's me. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Veronica, and I am in Chicago, Illinois, and I am inspired by a continual pursuit of peace.
Yes, Ashe, I love that. Thank you. Yolanda, did we hear from you already?
Good afternoon. I'm Yolanda Cater, and I'm in Alameda, and I am inspired by my faith and also my church family. That's been providing an incredible amount of spiritual support via Zoom, which is amazing. But also attending webinars such as this one to help equip me with tools to use during this pandemic and going forward.
Nice, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
There's a few folks that joined us just after we started, and they pop into the list in a little different way. So I think I remember who joined in, but I think let's hear from Jamal Hooks, and then Bonita, and then Jamal Williams. Can we do it in that order? If you say your name, where are you calling from, and what's one thing that you are inspired by these days, or one thing that you want to get out of this session today? So Jamal Hooks, then Jamal.
How you doing, everybody? Jamal Hooks, out of Chicago. Inspired by learning how to cope, or what's going to happen after COVID-19 in our Black delegation.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you. How about Sister Bonita, and then Jamal Williams?
I'm Bonita, and I'm from San Leandro, California. And what inspires me is my family connections and reading.
Nice, thank you. Jamal Williams?
Yes, my name is Jamal Williams. I'm calling from, well, actually, I'm in Oakland right now. I work in Berkeley and Oakland. I'm a restorative justice counselor, and I'm inspired by this. I'm inspired by these tools, this platform, being around people that are doing the work. That's what inspires me. I have 2 kids, 2 daughters, and I have an adopted son. And yeah, I'm on this call. I'm driving, so I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm really inspired by this.
No, you're good. We can hear you, and drive safe for sure. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so if there's some folks that I missed, if you just want to jump in real quick, you can raise your hand in the participant feature if you want to jump into the conversation and introduce yourself, or if that's a little convoluted, then you could just start talking and we'll work it out.
We're fine. I don't need to introduce myself.
You sure? We hear your voice. Please tell us your name. Where are you calling from?
I'm sorry. My name is Carmen, and I'm calling from St. Vincent's Day Home here in West Oakland, in the area, the West Oakland. So we've been serving children for about 100 years or so. And what I am very inspired by this is how the children are taking, we do Zooming with them. We call the families, and I am inspired by everyone who's been surviving this pandemic. I been working for children for 31 years, and I'm very proud of them, and so happy to help families in the West Oakland. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I was not sure whether I was on mute, but thank you.
You're good. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Anybody else want to introduce themselves?
I'll go ahead. This is Jacqueline Smith, and I'm calling from Brentwood. I work for the Unity Council. We're an organization founded in Oakland, but have expanded to Concord. And I am excited and inspired by the resiliency of our families. Most of our families have become really equipped with their electronics and technological and innovative devices. So I'm very inspired by our parents' resiliency.
Yes, yes, indeed. Thank you. All right, last call. Anybody else?
I can do. My name is Khadija Ahmed.
Welcome, Khadija.
I'm working the same with Jackie, the Unity Council, but I'm working in West Oakland. I'm the site director. I'm inspired. That was about what our organization doing to the families these days. What we give away, the food and educational activities and online classes. And at this time we are fasting Ramadan, and just keep going, praying for all of us.
Yes.
This time is coming out.
Thank you, Khadija. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, if you didn't get to jump in on the verbal process, you're welcome to put it in the chat about what your name is, where you're calling from, and what's one thing that's inspiring you these days. And let's just keep it moving. Welcome to you all. Thank you for, like I say, being part of this process. It's beautiful to hear so many folks that are in the mix doing this work and inspired by the work, and keep sharing the work and just growing as we do during these times. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
So just a quick recap, this is our third session. We started off with just the power of the present, and just kind of knowing that the future and the past can kind of leave us in anxiety, kind of leave us in depression, kind of leave us in, a lot of mental ailments that we don't really need. But a lot of that is just the lack of presence in our life, and just staying present to the gratitude and the things that we can control. So that was kind of like our first session, facilitated by Mizan and I. Then we had the privilege of joining Dr. Phyllis Hubbard for the second one. For our, basically, she helped us create a mental health toolkit. And I think one of the biggest things I took away was healing feelings and feelings that need healing. So we kind of just explored just naming our emotions and, basically how do we navigate our feelings and try to stay, I think what she said, about 60,000 thoughts a day. And I think
she said like 90% of our thoughts are generally negative thoughts.
Yeah.
So if we start to retrain our mind with the affirmations or just with, being conscious of the thoughts that we're having, then that can help to shift our minds and our outlook on the world and improve our mental health that way. It's one of our joints from last week.
Yeah, it's just a practice, you know what I mean? It's like any other muscle that you have to develop, it's just something that we got to work towards. So and this brings us to session number 3 with our brother Jason Seals, Professor Jason, giving thanks, man. And I see we have a poll here.
Actually, we just wanted to take a moment to just, as we are, feeling this process around, all the things that folks had shared, and just taking a moment to just be in gratitude for just a moment. I think a lot of times we are moving and quick. And like I said, one of our gems that we've learned of the process is just to have a moment to just be still. So I'm going to invite y'all to just notice and breathe for just a moment. We'll just take 3 breaths in At your own pace, if you're driving, drive carefully. And just kind of notice how you are breathing. And taking a deep breath in, filling yourself up with all the goodness and the nourishment that oxygen does. And as you exhale, just letting all that goodness settle into every part of your body, every part of your thoughts, every part of your mind. And on this next deep breath in, just think about all that you are thankful for. And as you exhale, just accepting that gratitude, accepting those abundance, accepting that goodness that you feel, that you have, that you know, the love of your children, the love of your colleagues, the work that you're inspired by in the community, all the wonderful things of nature that have blessed us, just accepting those blessings in your breath right now. Just taking one moment, one deep breath in, to just be in that. Thank y'all. Thank you for participating in that process. So the next piece we wanted to ask was really, we wanted to just get a sense around where folks are at. What's been the impact of COVID-19 and the shelter in place on your household? So we have this poll that we want to be able to launch right now. You'll see it popping up on your screen. For those of y'all who are driving, just do your best if you can to answer. But we just want to get a sense around, you know, what's happening in your household, so we know what's happening with the folks who are on this call right here. Has it been more time with family? Has it been more stress? Has it been loss of work or money? Has it been loss of connection to family? Has it been more productive in your home? Has it been less hustle and more flow? More personal time or less personal time? More time to practice healthy habits? And are you more optimistic about the future? I see the votes are coming in. Thank y'all. Give y'all just a little bit more time. Just so we can get a sense around what's happening with folks who are on this call right now. Good, we got about 80%. Oh, it's folks will keep coming. I'll give you a few more minutes. I'll see y'all. Good, everybody. About 88%. I see y'all. Y'all are in it. That's it. All right, we'll give you about 5 seconds more if somebody else wants to jump in and give their thought. There we go. We had 91%. I'll take that as an A. And I'm just gonna end that poll at the moment, just so we can get a thought. And I want y'all to just check to see what's happening with this group of folks that are on the phone. So I am sharing the results, and as you can see, it's about most folks have answered that it's more time with family. That's beautiful. That's about 69% of us, and that's the most common answer that folks gave. We also have more personal time and more time to practice healthy habits. This is beautiful. I think every time we've done this poll, it's been something different. The very first time we asked this question, the answer was more stress. That was the most common one, right? And folks are feeling a lot more stress. Last week when we said it, folks were talking about how there was, I think it was also, there was more, it actually was more time with family last week. So I think that this is, this is kind of the common theme that we're having. It's definitely more time with family. And more time with family can also mean more stress. It could also mean just more productive time. It could mean a lot of things for folks. So I appreciate y'all participating in that poll, just so we can get a sense around what's happening with the folks on this call right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, and so we are, without further ado, we are ready to hear from our dear brother Jason. I just must say that I've known Brother Jason for a long time, and I know there's an official bio that I could share, but I really think that it's more important for us just to know that Brother Jason has been a steadfast brother in this work. And I've seen him grow and develop as a leader, as a professor, as a thought partner in this process of freeing the hearts and minds of Black youth and young people. And he has continued that process in his work at Merritt College, and particularly following that work with raising his son Malcolm, who I love and appreciate dearly. And so I really am just honored and excited to be able to be with Brother Jason for this next hour or so from our time, and really just exploring how culture has a healing property for us, and how we're going to use our culture to be able to help us heal and grow and learn and be more resilient during this time. So I'm so thankful for Brother Jason. Y'all want to unmute yourselves real quick and just clap it up.
Yes.
Yes, Brother Jason, yes. Thank you for joining us. Woo-hoo. Go ahead, Brother Jay.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to take a moment to just acknowledge the divine creator, whatever your beliefs are, whomever you pray to, whatever practices you might have. I just ask that the intention of love be present with everyone on this call. And I ask for myself that the creator and the ancestors move through me.
Okay.
Anything that is said, allow it to be what it needs to be. Allow it to fall on hearts and ears that are open and willing to receive and share. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone that's here today. It's always an honor. Sister Mizan, Brother Susway, Spearitwurx, the family, give thanks. It's always a blessing to share. And I must say that I was so consumed trying to figure out what exactly to share. There's so much to share. And so in the spirit of our ancestors, some of this is going to be very intellectual and some of this is going to be heart, right? And so when I think about our sisters, our ancestors in ancient Kemet, there was no separation between spirituality and intelligence and education. It all happened in the same space. And so, that's the legacy I want to continue today. So what I will say is that you're probably going to need something to write with. And then you also gonna need to be willing to open up your heart, right? And so let me go ahead and get to this PowerPoint and open it up and make sure that we are all on the same page. Let's go. Can I get a thumbs up? You see that? Everybody can see that? All right, give thanks. So once again, I'm Jason Sills. Want to give shout out to my mother, Cheryl Sills, and my father, Thomas Sills, just recognizing that I'm an extension of them. Those that are on this call, what I will say, some of this material was really created for our community. And when I say our community, I'm talking about African people. And so I'm going to be using terminology like our, right? Because for me, as I teach, as I share, I'm speaking to my community. If you're a person I identify as being African, that this language is for you. If you are an ally or a person that's working in service or aligned, for me, I think it's important that you're on this call as well. Just know you're not excluded, but I think it's important that you all know when I say our, who I'm speaking to. And also, I think everyone's going to have a twofold experience. I'm going to be asking you to think about things as it relates to other people, but also as it relates to you. And so if you're a service provider on this call, you might be thinking about, oh, how do I take this back to my job? What I would say is be mindful of how it resonates with you, what it means to you, and then think about how you can work with other people. One of the things that I've learned in my work and some of my training over the years is that the highest level of this work comes from your own healing, comes from your own growth, comes from your own work. And so just be mindful of that as we go through today. The first thing is some reflective questions. I think it's important to always kind of be mindful of what information you're going to get. So I would say if you got your phone with you, take a snapshot of this or write these down, because I think as I share, I want people to be thoughtful about like, what is healing? and healing as it relates to culture. And so we also have to think about what culture do we ascribe to if we're really thinking about healing. Healing has become almost a buzzword in terms of mental health or mental wellness. There's so many people that are using healing, and I think it's important for us to frame what healing means for African people. How do people of African ancestry ascribe? Ascribe meaning it's something that you are attached to, something that can be given, something that you claim. And so thinking about how do we ascribe to healing and maintain wellness? And then thinking about this last one is what cultural practices maintain wellness? So what is it that happens within our culture that is going to help us maintain it? And so when I think about just what's happening right now in the world, people are in the house more. I'm thinking about how do people start off their morning? Like today, how do you start off your morning? Like when you got out of the bed, what was the first thing you did? Did you say hello to your partner? Did you, get to your altar? Did you pray? Did you meditate? Did you roll over to your phone? Did you check IG? Did you check, your text messages? Like, what did you do? And I think we should be mindful of culture happens on many levels. There's ancestral culture, there's family culture, there's the culture that you might be connected to as it relates to your spirituality or religion. There's culture in maybe the people that you are connected to in your work. And so because culture is layered, it means that we are constantly navigating which cultural practices based on what we're doing at that time. So if I am thinking about my spirituality, sometimes if it's not interconnected, I'm doing things that are more aligned with that. If I'm thinking about maybe my social community, maybe my social community is more connected to maybe a book club I'm a part of, maybe a writing club that I'm a part of, then sometimes those cultural practices reflect that. Now they can be aligned, but I think it's important to think about what cultural practices are we using that maintain our wellness and what doesn't maintain wellness, right? So there are things that we actually ascribe to that don't actually support wellness. And I think that's part of what I want to do today is kind of ground us in ourselves to think about what within us supports our healing. I heard Sister Suzanne say that someone else said that we are our medicine, very much so. Like the healing that I'm going to share with you all today is all intrinsic. It's not outside of you. It's not necessarily in a book, although some books offer that. So I'll say that a lot of what I want us to do today is really reflect, really think about how do we be the catalyst for what we so seek and desire. So I'm going to have us do a brief activity really, really quickly, right? So we're going to do a value activity. This activity is more so for yourself than anyone else, right? I might ask somebody to share out because I think even on this platform, just some type of engagement and discourse is important. But I want you to do a values activity. So on the next slide, there's going to be some values that are going to pop up. And I want you to do, I want you to pick 10 of those values that are most important to you, not to your mom, not to your auntie, not to your kids. What is most important to you? And then I want you to rank them from most important to least important, then pick your top 3. Now, we are dealing with time, right? So because we're dealing with time, I am going to give you probably like a minute and a half, right? If you need more time, honor yourself, take that time, right? But I just want to be mindful that, that we are dealing with some constraints. And, for me personally, I just think it's important that on these platforms, like I try to be brief because I think that there's so much going on in our homes and in our lives. So pick your top 10, rank them from most important, least important, pick your top 3. This is where you need pen and paper, or you can, in a digital age, type it into your phone, right? Because you're gonna need this for later, right? You're gonna need this not just for today, but I think you assessing your values is something that you should do all the time. Thinking about what is your focal point and thinking about what guides you. So here's our list, right? So this is a starter list. This list of things that I came up with. If you have your own, you still only get 10. You don't get 11, you don't get 12 with a bonus, you get 10, so pick 10. Pick 10 values that are most important to you. Rank them from most important to least important, then pick your top 3. I'll give you all a minute and a half. Let's go. About another 30 seconds. I gave you all a little additional time. My heart said y'all need a little more time. So, about 30 seconds. All right, folks, usually at this point, I would do a whip around where everybody would get an opportunity to kind of share out their top 3 with no stories to follow or explanations. But what I'll say is, do I got anybody really quickly that want to unmute themselves and share their top 3?
I'll mute myself. This is Noni.
How you doing, Noni?
Good. How are you? Thank you, Jason.
Good.
I'll be quick. So my top 3 are faith, health, and love.
Good. Give thanks. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Love, spirituality, and fun.
Give thanks, Sister Janine.
Lisa Taylor. Family, humor, and help.
Good. Let me get one more.
I got
family and spirituality.
Was that Mr. Otis?
Self-care, family, and spirituality.
Give thanks. So I want us to think about what this tells us. What does identifying your personal values tell you about who you are? I think it offers us understanding of what might be important, where we put our time, even how do we understand the things that are happening around us. Essentially, when you think about your personal values, you should think about your worldview. Your worldview is how you begin to understand the world. So Dr. Kobe, he's an African-centered scholar before he passed away, now an ancestor. He talks about our worldview being race specific. Now, some people have said that race isn't real. You think about sociologists, anthropologists, and he says that when you talk about race, you can use it interchangeably with culture or ethnicity. And so there's many nuances to it. But he says worldview is race specific, that it provides unique identity and experience for each racial, cultural group. And he says it is based in three things. He says one is biogenetic, meaning that the DNA that we have begins to inform not just our memory, but our experience. There has been research that says that we can actually connect with our ancestry up to 5 generations. So that's the biogenetic piece. He says it's also historical, meaning what has happened to your people, right? That can be the personal experience, that can be genetic experience. And when we say historical, sometimes we think ancient, it could be that, but it also could be as recent as yesterday. So looking at, history in its totality. And then he says it's environmental. So looking at, what is happening in the environment begins to dictate. And so he says your worldview is shaped by those three things. So when I think about wellness, I think about how people of African ancestry have a unique experience in America. What does it mean to walk around where people perceive you a certain way? Emphasis on perceive, not necessarily knowledge, not necessarily have a personal relationship, but that perceived understanding begins to dictate a certain experience. Those things begin to impact one's worldview. So when I had you identify your personal values, whether they've come from your mom, your dad, your family, your community, this is what I'm considering the layers of socialization. So when you think about your values, they could come from your family. They could come from religion or spirituality. They can come from the school. Did you go to a public school, charter school, homeschool, African-centered school? What was that schooling like? The community. When we say community, there was a time period in America that community meant geographic region, that we all literally stay in a 5-mile radius. And so that geographic area connected us. Now community in the modern era is more like, what do we share in common? So do we share a specific worldview in common? Do we share, certain interests? Maybe like, with young people, it might be TikTok. Older folks, it might be Facebook. It might be reading clubs. It might be a running club. It might be a biking club. It might be, that you're a small business owner. So the thing that's connected people now is interest. And then the media. The media plays a role in how we understand ourselves and the things that's happening around us. And the media has changed. There was a time period when the media was printed text, newspaper, and then we go radio. You think about, now we're, there's a time period that wasn't even, a Facebook or a TikTok or Instagram or Vine. There was MySpace, and there was things like Black Planet. And before then, we didn't see these digital platforms. But all of these evolutions, so to speak, of media have an impact. So when you identify your personal values, you have to think about, where did I get these values from? And assess whether those values that you received over time are things that you still carry to be of value. Now, one of the things I think is important, if I go back to this list, is thinking about how personal values, they can be good for us. But you have to ask yourself a question, are they also good for your community? As African people, there's this thing of Weenus, interconnectedness, that's important. And so in America, we have to think about how the environment begins to dictate what we believe and how we actually operate. In America, there's an emphasis and a value on individualism. So people often focus on me, myself, and I. There's less of an emphasis on me. Who am I connected to? My children. Who am I connected to? My family. Who am I connected to? My partner. Who am I connected to? My community. And so if you think about your values as it relates to the wellness of all, then it's important to assess those values and ensure that those values are inclusive, supportive, and grows the people around us. So the first starting point when I think about culture is us assessing culture. And when I think about this idea of healing, we have to assess whether our values, which influence our behaviors, also gets us to a place of wellness. And so we have to think about these things. I think about how some of our values are out of necessity, and some of them are out of just trying to make sure that it reflects our wellness. And so it's important that we think about these and are constantly assessing, because our worldview is informed by our values. And if we think about this concept of ethos, ethos comes from one of our scholars and elders, Dr. Marambe Ambi, and she talks about this thing of ethos as being the emotional tone of the group, right? So one of the things that Sister Mizan was doing so beautifully is being able to check in, what is the emotional tone of the group? So those check-ins are really important because we are connected. Because we are connected, the emotional tone can be thrown off when people are harmed, when people aren't healthy. If we're inside of a classroom, I often think about how, like, as the instructor, my job is to create and maintain the emotional tone. I know that if someone walks into that space and shouts out racial epithets or shouts out derogatory terms, it can actually shift the emotional tone, right? So ethos can influence and has a relationship with worldview that also influences what? Culture. So when you think about the word ethos, worldview, and culture, they're all interconnected. Now, culture, as I said before, is layered. It could be a part of one's ancestry. It could be a part of one's family. It also can be larger society. As a person of African ancestry, I'm mindful of the culture that I have that connects me to my ancestry. I'm also mindful that as a person of African ancestry, we aren't a monolith. So some of the culture that exists in my family might also exist in other Black families, but it also might differ. Culture that's in my house might look very different, right? When my son and I get up in the morning, we roll over and get out the bed and go to the altar. And so I know that's not everybody's culture. And so I'm just mindful of how culture differs. So for this workshop specifically, I think it's important that people of African ancestry take a moment to really think about culture. Think about what has culture been historically, what culture is now. I'm asking people to mute themselves really quickly. Thank you. For African psychologists, there were 3 different schools of thought. There was traditional, reform, and radical. A lot of the radical psychologists, they all believe that culture for African people wasn't what evolved because of enslavement. They believe that you have to go back 3,000 years and identify historical, cultural traditions and practices, because if you know what those things are, then you see the connection. But they say you don't just go back in history to assess the culture and attempt to create a utopia as though ancient Africa was perfect. It's more so important to go back to the culture, because the culture is the healthiest point. It's pre-colonialism, pre-enslavement, pre-Greek and Roman invasion, Arab invasion. You go back to the healthiest state. And for African people, the point is to see what practices, traditions, attributes existed before, and how do we bring them to modern day 2020 and evolve them and use them as tools, because culture is not just a people's total way of life, but it's also a tool. The tool is so important to be able to understand how do we maintain our survival. So a people's total way of life includes everything from your ideas, religious beliefs. And when I say this really quickly about religious beliefs, religion in ancient terms was considered a science that connected you to the divine creator, that connected you to the ancestors. And so it was a difference in terms of religious beliefs historically and what we believe to be now, where it's more of a set of practices that comes from a specific faith. Manner of dress, language, folklores, customs, sense of time, humor, tools, music, so forth and so forth. The key thing here is that some of this is usually passed down. And so if a people have connection to culture that reflects their ancestry, they're able to pass it down intentionally. These things are practices in the home, amongst the family. And so the children, who are usually the ones that are being gifted the culture, they can see it because it's communicated to them just in what's happening, right? So there's almost an imitation that happens from generation to generation. Here's the piece that we must take note. As African people, because of the practices and laws that were implemented during slavery, some people were disconnected from the culture. Some of us had to hide the culture, and so we didn't have an intimate relationship with the culture. And so that meant that if you did not have an intimate relationship with the culture, that what's gotten passed down has been more of the experience of African people as a result of enslavement, not necessarily culture, because culture comes from a people. And I think that's important to note. Some cultural aspects is a strong kinship bond, right? So thinking about there are certain things that exist within our culture that reflect us being connected to family. For people of African ancestry, something like fictive kin, folks that we've known for a very long time, have no blood relation, but we have intimacy that connects us. That strong kinship bond existed for African people. This is a cultural practice that existed in ancient times amongst African people. Oral tradition, meaning that there was something very powerful about sharing things. If you share something orally, we have to understand that it's not meant to be shared with everyone, right? There's a level of secrecy, right? That's why I tell people all the time, once you post something on social media, it's for everybody. There's no such thing as a private account. And so when we share something, it has a secrecy. Our ancestors, when they shared something, they said if it was orally, it wasn't meant for everyone. It was meant to be kept amongst those that it was shared with. This is why we have secret recipes in our family, things that our big mama, our grandfather has shared with us that was just for our ears, not for everyone else. This idea of verbal and written expression has come as a way of teaching, offering narratives, offering understanding. Music historically has been a way to educate, inspire, but music and dance both evoke things that are very healing within us. I will say this, it's really important to understand the vibration. So when you hear music or you begin to dance, I want you to pay attention to your body and what happens within your body. Everyone on this call should have at least one song that you could turn on that will get you off your couch and dance. If you don't know what that song is, take some time today and figure out what that song is. Everyone should have one song, and I would encourage you to listen to that song. Allow that song to elevate your emotions. Let it to begin to invoke like the energy in your body. So when we talk about spirit, we talk about energy in your body. And so those things are important. We've always have been thought about this idea of a belief in a higher power, a belief in God, that energy that we recognize dwells within us, but dwells within all living things. As African people, we believe in spirit, and spirit lives in all living things, a part of the universe. And this last one, in terms of cultural aspects, looks at interconnectedness, this idea of a weenus. So earlier I spoke of how in Western society, there's an emphasis on me, myself, and I. This weenus begins to connect people. It's the community. It's speaking in the whole. And so going back to what I shared earlier, when I think of myself, am I thinking of my son? Am I thinking of, you know, the people that I'm in relationship with? Am I thinking of my family? Am I thinking of, you know, my larger community? How things that I do will impact them. I can't just be focused on my wellness. I have to think about how does my behaviors also support my wellness and those that I'm connected to. And so that Weenus is a different way of thinking that goes back to this idea of thinking about the larger group in wellness. If you look at these here, culture, worldview, and ethos, thinking about your culture, right? So what culture do you ascribe to? Thinking about your worldview, how do you see the world? Thinking about the emotional tone of your community, these things are working together and they're shifting all the time. And so we've had a shift just in terms of, you know, being in the house. What does shelter in place do to our culture, right? So we are people that are grounded in this idea of connectedness, we-ness. How are we still being able to operate we-ness is a question, right? You gotta say, okay, being in the house, how does it impact our, you know, emotional tone? I saw in the poll, some people was like, I'm spending more time with my family. Spending more time with your family can be a good thing and can be stressful. It can be stressful. Thinking about, you know, the confines of being in the house. What does that mean to be in the house? What does it mean to not have as much space, not being able to maybe go for a run or be in nature as much as you would like? All of those things begin to impact, one's ethos, the emotional tone of yourself and the collective in your worldview. Like, how are you processing? How are you understanding? How are you making meaning of what is taking place right now? They are very much connected. I want us to think about, there's a song, and I just saw that we don't have a lot of time left. And so I'm gonna shorten this piece here. There's a song that people can listen to called "I'm Black" by Styles P. And in this song, he makes an offering to us about what is his experience. And he begins to offer a narrative about Black people. And in the song, he uplifts things that reflect our experience and our culture. I think when we think about culture and we think about this idea of wellness, we have to be able to identify what the difference of experience and culture is. Experience are things that are often outside of us, right? That have an influence and or a harm. And so in his song, he uplifts things like poverty, sexual violence, exploitation, slavery, materialism, racial profiling, prejudice. Some of us have developed a relationship with these things as though they're our culture, because we are in contact with it in our community. We see it so often. We also acknowledge other pieces, which is God, spirituality, family, love, communalism, self-love, acknowledgement of ancestors. And those things are culture. Those are the things that are the foundation for wellness. Like, how are we engaging family in a healthy way? Like, when you're in the house, do you have any rituals that allows your family to connect and have healthiness, right? Spirit, thinking about what type of practices do you have in your life that feeds your spirit? Is it going to your altar? When I was in South Africa, they talked to us about putting our feet in the soil, because oftentimes we are on concrete, and on concrete, there's a barrier between us, our spirit, that energy, and the other spirit, which is in the ground, that dirt. That spirit gives us food. So how many of us have practices that feed the spirit? Is it reading, meditating, laughter, art, going to the altar? Like, how are you feeding your spirit? Thinking about, ways in which you can engage in love. How do you be in relationship? All of these things are really important for us to be able to be mindful of what is a part of my culture versus what is a part of my experience. For service providers that's on this call, the young people, the families that you are working with, sometimes we see them through the lens of their experience. We don't see them through the lens of their culture and their healthiness and their wholeness. And so I would remind you all that as you work with these children and these families, help them or empower them to share their culture. So you know what is their assets rather than the negative experience that sometimes is downtrodden, sometimes that is harmful, and sometimes that creates trauma. We have to serve, but we should serve in a way that is strength-based, not something that minimizes people's importance or dehumanizes them. So this piece here I have, culture is created, maintained, and evolved from a group of people. Its charge from every generation is to evolve the culture, right? It's a tool for growth, wellness, and survival. For African people, learning, identifying, connecting, and reclaiming culture is foundational, because if people ancestors weren't as connected because of the institution of slavery, then we know there's been a disconnect in information. And so that's why so much of, you know, being grounded in history is important. Understanding information is important. And being around ancestors that can offer that is important. Experiences are external, as I shared before, and or dynamics that hinder, influence, and harm. And as I said earlier, sometimes we develop a relationship to those experiences and we think those experiences are our culture. I see that we are running out of time, so I want to get to this last piece really quickly, which is Dr. Linda James Myers is African-centered psychologist. She talks about these three pillars. She talks about for optimal health. She says she recognizes the African person. She's speaking to African people, but she says in her text that this is actually healthy for all people. And she says foundationally, she looks at African as being the birth of civilization. And so she says that this is the origin, but this origin shared, as she articulates it, is health for all people. She says people should be spirit-centered. They should have a worldview that is healthy and a proper consciousness. I'm gonna give you the definition on this next slide. She says, spirit-centered, to center the importance of one's spirit, to focus on developing and nurtures one's spirit, which supports the collective. She says worldview, to cultivate communalism, emphasizing what? The Weenus, interconnectedness, one's worldview being reflective of the extended self, spirit, nature, and the community. And the last thing she says, proper consciousness, right? To develop knowledge of self and to learn and internalize one's historic culture and experience. She's very thoughtful that these three are the pillars of healthiness. So when we think about culture, everything that these three pillars are grounded in culture. As I shared earlier, they're within us. And so because it's inside of us, we don't have to go outside to invoke these things. However, we might need to access tools to help awaken those things. I know we're running out of time, so I want to be mindful. I'm going to stop sharing really quickly, and I am going to take a moment really quickly to show you all these books real quick. So this is a good book said, Let the Circle Be Unbroken. This is a good text. You can still find this on Amazon. This is a book that helps us think about culture. It gives us language and tools. Another classic text is African Psychology by Dr. Wade Nobles. You can also find this on Amazon. For my practitioners and folks that are working counseling practices for persons of African descent, here's some helpful tools for people that are in the mental health field that can use these tools in here to support what we consider to be culturally relevant practices to awaken and heal the spirit. Here's another text, is African-centered perspective that begins to think about wellness for African people. As we think about culture, here's one called African Culture, the Rhythm of Unity. And so here's some text that thinks about both history and culture and worldview. I have so much more, folks. What I'll say is give thanks to Brother and Sister Mizan, Brother Sosway and Sister Mizan. There's much more. There's so much more. I know we're running out of time, so I want to turn it back over to our host and give thanks for you all today.
Thank you, Brother Jason. And I apologize that time does just seem to move in this beautiful way. And so I'm going to ask if you're all okay to just stay on the call for maybe 7 more minutes or so we can close out together. Is that all right with everybody? It's a little bit over our time. All right, thank you. And just a really beautiful, blessed, big ups to Brother Jason. He is drop pin, like all the way, like mic drop status, like walk away and be fueled. I know many folks have asked in the chat if whether or not we will definitely send out the book list for folks to be able to see. Brother Jason, there's a question of whether or not you're open to sharing your slides with folks. Oh, you're muted. Here we go. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just saying, I'll definitely share it. There's so many more slides we didn't get to, and there's more exercises, so I'll definitely share it.
Perfect, thank you. So those of y'all who are interested, you will get those via email from me within the next couple of days. Yes is all I got to say. So there's a lot of practice that we can do, a lot of gems that have come from this, and I think the most important is really for us to be able to recognize that element of our culture is really our tool. So let's tap into what is good about who we are and what we love and what we value, so that we can use that as a tool to give us some power for the young people that we work with, for ourselves, for the adults that we work with, for our communities that we touch, for all the blessings that we have around us. Let's just keep using our culture as a tool. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Brother Jason. Thank you, thank you. Did you have something you want to say quick?
Just give thanks, y'all. Give thanks to Jason. Just remember the interconnectedness, man. I am because we are because I am. The circle be unbroken.
And really quickly, as we close out, we're gonna just a little plug for next week's presenter is Sister Washiba. She's the founder of Interworks Collective and also an OUSD Restorative Justice Coordinator. She's gonna be sharing some practices with us around how stillness can offer the mind peace. Same time, same place. You can register via Eventbrite. Please share and share the pieces with your friends, folks, and family. This is also a list of community resources that we wanted folks to be able to have connections to. We're going to send this out to you all as well, that there is a number of different folks that you can get mental health support from, that community support. Most of these are centered in the Bay Area, but some of them are passed around, and I actually see a typo, so forgive me. I will fix that before I send it out to you all. You know how that goes. So definitely thankful. If there are more resources that folks are interested in sending out in this package of things that they want to send to me and I can send it to the group, you're please welcome to do so. You can contact us here at our website at Spearitwurx.com, also on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to email us, it's spiritworx@gmail.com. And then finally, this is an offering of love and appreciation and just really recognizing that this work continues in a way beyond us. We don't have a big grant fund budget to make this happen. We just knew that it was time to be able to honor these conversations about Black mental health, particularly in May. And so if you want to donate to this work and support the work in any way, you can do so via Cash App or also on our website. If you enjoyed the music of Spirit of the Nation, you can check him on SoundCloud and at Instagram at Spirit of the Nation. And all is well. And as we close out, we just wanted to give ourselves a moment to just imagine this world. Everybody take a nice deep breath in and exhale fully. Giving thanks and praises in this moment for the energy and the spirit and the ancestors of Brother Jason Seals. Giving thanks for his legacy and for his capacity to be able to share and the love he has for us and for our work and for our liberation. We're thankful for the dedication of each one of you for being able to be in this space with us, for sharing this time with us, for sharing these thoughts with us. Please continue to share out into this world and grow and love and build, and know that we have been through hard times before. We've been through challenges where we didn't know whether or not, what our future was going to hold. But what held us strong was our capacity to imagine a different world, our capacity to imagine freedom, to be able to work towards that, to use our culture to be able to give us some power and strength and love and joy as we work together to imagine and create a new future. So I'm inspired by this work with you all. I'm inspired by the time together. I know time is relative. We all know that. And time just seems to move so fast sometimes. So I definitely appreciate us being together with this thoughts and these times and each other sharing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Give thanks. Give
Thank
thanks.
you. Have a great evening, afternoon. Bless. Spread love, y'all.
You close our affirmation.
Bless. Let's can everyone unmute themselves, please?
Here, I can do it real easy. I can mute all.
Ready to close out. Just repeat after me. I am because we are.
I am because we are.
We are because I am.
We are because I am.
May the circle be
Thank you.
unbroken. Give thanks, y'all. Bless.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Goodbye. Blessings. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time, energy, thoughts. We will send out some information soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bless up. Be well. Hello. Baba saying hi. Hello.